I have some people in my world that they can't sit in solitude. Well,
Yeah.
I won't say they can't. They refuse to. So they do move out of one thing and jump right into the next thing, whether it be a relationship, a job, a marriage. We got some repeat offenders with a lot of those that I know. And I think you're spot on. I think it's that when that massive change in life happens, death, divorce, job change, job loss, any of that, if you don't sit in solitude, the tendency is just to jump right back into the familiar.
Yeah.
And sitting in solitude, I think, allows
or a filler,
you.
not familiar,
a filler.
a
That's
filler.
true, right? Fillers aren't good. Filler dates are not good. Filler jobs are not good. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Renew Podcast. I am your host, Kristen Andre, and as always, we are helping you reclaim your business and your life without losing your edge. And we're going to have some fun today because talking about reclaiming your life, making things new, kind of defining your next chapter, we have the amazing Nooshin Bagheri with us today, who is an immigration attorney, a mom, and who I think kind of personifies starting over, rethinking things, really defining what success looks like on your own terms. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited because I know your story. We met through some mutual friends, which was awesome. And it's kind of cool because you went through a lot of changes in your life.
Yes, I have.
But you totally, instead of kind of wallowing and just saying, oh yeah, it is what it is, you're like, okay, this is my life now and I'm going to make it what I make it.
Make the best of it. You just got to pull up your pants. You just got to move forward in life and make the best and try to understand why you're in this chapter, and you realize why you are, and it's such a beautiful thing.
So I think that's great, but so many people you see major things happen, whether, death, divorce, moving, job loss, all that. Things happen and they just kind of shut down. So what made you decide to say, you know what, I'm starting over. I'm recreating life the way I want it. What was it something that switched, or is that just how you're wired?
No, I think it's part of the growth system. Like, I won't deny, yes, initially when you do go through a death or divorce, you do shut down. You do shut down, and you need that time to shut down. You need that, instead of jumping onto the next thing, you really need that time, that solitude. And you have to remember, solitude and loneliness are two separate things. So being in solitude is a time to really try to understand yourself, understand a situation, and really try to learn the lesson from it all. And so it's going to have its highs and lows. I always call it like tides. Like, you'll be really strong, you're moving forward, and you hit a wave, and it kind of like pushes you back. But the moment the waves hit you, gets farther and farther apart. And you just have to kind of keep pushing through. And then you see, the more you put yourself out there, the more you put yourself outside your comfort zone, the more you see why this had to happen, how it happened. You just see with much clearer eyes and appreciate things so much more.
It's true. And I like the way you said that solitude is different than loneliness, because I do think solitude is where we learn about us and where we go introspective and kind of get it. Because when crazy things happen or life changes happen, we all go in that funk for a little bit. I was ticked. I'm divorced, so I was ticked off. I was mad. I was all the things. You get all the emotions coming in. But it is the solitude that kind of helps, if you let it, helps reground you to figure out, all right, what's next.
I think people are scared of the solitude because, and I admit I had that scare. So I travel alone. So that's been my biggest push in this next chapter, is challenge myself, do things outside my comfort zone. So I take at least biannual solo trips. And it's everyone's like, oh, it's amazing, you inspire me, and it's fun and it's amazing. It's amazing, but you put yourself in a vulnerable place. But that's when you see the beauty of it all. That's when you really understand yourself and take that time to comprehend all your feelings. And you have to go through that, process everything to be able to move forward.
Did you always know that you were gonna do that? Like, when you're in the solitude, because I follow you on social, so I saw the trip you took recently, and I'm sitting there watching it going, oh my God, this is so cool. First of all, I was jealous because it was a cool trip.
It was.
But then I'm sitting there going, oh, I don't know if I could do that by myself. I mean, and I love travel, I love adventure, but I like to have somebody with me just to kind of experience it with me. But I think that was what made your trip so fun to watch from the outside and follow, is I could feel the new experiences and the stepping out of the comfort zone, like through following your track. Scared me for me, but for you, I was so freaking excited. I was like, this is so cool. But Like, have you always just said, okay, this is what's out of my comfort zone, I'm going to do it? Or did it,
No.
like, was somebody behind you pushing Nooshin out the door going, try it?
It was like, I just didn't want to wait in life anymore for anybody else. I couldn't stop living, waiting to find someone to travel with, to find a companion.
Yeah.
I just had to keep living. And I love to travel. So I'm like, I'm not going to wait around and waste any more precious time that we have on this earth. So I was like, so I did take my first trip post-divorce, and it was nerve-wracking as anything. Like, it's weird. Like, as we talked about this before, I've traveled before while I was married, took a trip, but it's different when you realize you don't have that person back home. You don't have that backup in a sense.
Yep.
So it was a different experience, but every trip I've taken, every year I've taken, I do at least an annual big trip, to celebrate life and to make it more lively by pushing myself out of time. I could do things I thought I never could do. It shows me how much stronger I am, but also it shows me how weirdly I'm not alone on these trips. Every time I've gone, when you just learn to let go of control, because I used to be a control freak, you just learn to let go of control.
Girl, you are speaking to me and 98% of the audience here, because I think we're so much like that.
I'm a planner, so I'm like, I need to know, or I'm in control. What if, or like think of the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And I've learned, life has humbled me that you don't have control. You just have to let it go. And when you do let it go, every time I got to a point on a trip that I'm like, okay, where do I go? What do I do? Someone magically shows up and is like holding my hand, helping me out, or every single time. And so when you experience that and you see that, when you're more vulnerable, because you're by yourself. If I was with someone else, I would not see any of this stuff. Yeah. But when you do, it's just amazing that you get closer to humanity. You just, really.
And I think I love that. I mean, that's such a good point. And I think, as we mentioned your mom, you have teen boys.
Yes.
I'm a girl mom, so you're told, but those teenage years are tough. So we're so used to being the planner and taking care of things and making sure everyone's okay.
Yeah.
That I don't think we often, as moms, I mean, it could be, I don't know what you think, but as moms, I feel like a lot of times we just are so used to do for everybody else that we don't always think about us. Exactly. So I love the fact that you're honoring yourself and going on these adventures.
Taking care of myself. And I think my kids see me as a much better mom when I do come back.
So I'm curious about that, though. Yeah, I'm sure, because you're like going, but what did your boys think the first time you're like, I'm taking a solo trip and you're not going with me? I mean, were they excited for you? Were they nervous?
At first I felt guilty because we did so many family trips and I felt guilty going to new places without them. But then I remember, I was like, okay, these kids have seen the world and they're only teenagers. I'm just starting in this later in life. They had the rest of their lives to go travel. So I'm going to be selfish and I'm going to do this. And they're amazing about it. Like my oldest one, he loves to travel with me, but he's always like, go mom, you deserve this, go have fun.
Oh, I love that.
He's the most supportive person. And he's always like, go, I know you love this, go for it.
I think that's cool. And if you can have support, that means you raise good boys.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Compassionate, empathetic,
which is, I mean, that's a big congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
hard to do in today's world. Yeah. But I love the fact that they're honoring that, you're honoring that.
Yeah.
So what's been the biggest eye-opener in doing, and I don't want to say like just the trips, but in redefine, because you went to law school. I mean, you're a practicing attorney. You have an immigration practice. You're raising boys. You're taking all these trips. Like, you've reinvented yourself.
I feel like I'm back in my old 20s. I feel like this new sense of energy and like zest for life. And so it's exciting. It's thank God the boys are older, so they don't need me as much. So I'm also learning to do all this stuff, be busy with my create my practice, do these trips to kind of prepare myself for my own happiness and not cling to my kids for my happiness either. They're about to go off to college. So I have to create my own life and my own happiness apart from them.
So, and I think that's a big thing, is a lot of times I'll hear from people, or we'll have people listening that feel like they're too late in life to start over. And I don't agree with that. And I know you don't. So, I mean, to the people listening that are like, girl, I am 40, 50, whatever. I don't think there's an age. Like, what do they need to get in their mind? Like, what's your advice to them to go, you can start now?
Yes, you can start now. It is like, intimidating because you look around yourselves. Don't look or compare to everybody else. Everyone's life path is different. Yep. I once spoke about how, so I went back to law school with 2 kids in my, when I was 32, 33. And I'm here in classes with people who just came out of college, undergrad. Right. I didn't start my practice to age 40, and I'm 45 right now. And so then I compare myself amongst my peers, the fellow immigration
Yeah.
attorneys, and they have like 20 years of experience because they went straight from college to law school, the typical route. My route is different. And so I would be so intimidated. I'd be like, oh my God, look how, forward they are in their careers, how much they know. I'm so behind, it seems late. But then what I realized, it was funny because then I had a conversation with one friend where here she is, she's my age, just having her first child. So she did the whole law school thing. Now she's doing the journey of motherhood, where I did the journey of motherhood, and now I can focus my all on law, on my practice and my work. So, our lives are kind of like this. So our two paths are not the same, but eventually you can't compare because one's going through one scenario while you're going through the other, and it can vice versa.
And I think that's so many, there's a quote I love. It says comparison is the thief of joy. And I think that's so true because we look at other people as the barometer of our success, and that's not really how it should be. I think a lot of us do that naturally, but it really should be that we're defining our own success.
And what brings you happiness? Like, this is where I still would work on is the fact that when I'm amongst my peers and we have our own businesses, everyone's kind of comparing what's your net worth, how much do you bring in, how much is your company worth. So I would get intimidated. I'm like, okay, I'm not there yet, but it's not my priority. I realize it's not my priority. My priority is I found peace within me. I found happiness in my life. My focus has always been my kids, these two good humans out in the world before anything else. That's my first job. Yep. And so I couldn't compete in that comparison that they were doing. And I remember my energy would just feel different anytime I'm around them. And I realized it's because my goals are not the same as them. And you can't compare. You have to be true to yourself of what you want and what makes you happy.
That's so true. A lot of my private clients that I coach, I always start with them as tell me what you want life to look like. And you can really quickly tell, like if they're telling me their story or I want this, I want that, what are your goals? What is and I don't say, what are your goals? I purposefully say, what do you want your life to look like? Business, personal, everything. And I see where they go first.
Okay.
And what's interesting is they normally, if it's somebody who hasn't done a lot of work, they normally just start rattling off goals. And then I'll go deeper and go deeper and go deeper. And I'm like, well, tell me this and tell me that. And when they get to the part that really excites them, their voice goes up and they get excited and they have a lot of emotion behind it. But I'd say 9 times out of 10, it takes me a while to get them there because they're so conditioned to, here's what is supposed to look like. This is what, I'm an attorney, this is what success looks like. I own a CFO, this is what. So I have to unpeel all the stuff to get them what it looks like for you.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you've done that. Yeah. So as people are setting out, what have been the biggest, now that you have done that, you've redefined success, you've debunked the myth of I can go to law school and start a practice in my 40s, I can raise good humans. What have been the biggest learning lessons for you with all this?
When there is a rejection, it's a redirection.
Yes.
I've, to be honest, I've, applied to law school earlier and they were, for some reason or another, it was just not the timing to go at that point. And I always was very frustrated and just impatient. And then later when I got in, 10 years later or so, I realized this was a better time to go. Even though it was later, it was a little harder because I was doing it with kids. Other circumstances made it best that this was the time to go. So I've had to remind myself that, okay, don't take rejection personally, maybe it's a protection and go another way, or maybe it's not the right time.
I think that's spot on. Rejection to redirection, because it's hard to see that in the moment. Mm-hmm. I think for most of us that have, are older and have been through things, we've had stuff happen in our lives. I feel like we can look back and go, oh yeah, I was being redirected towards something way better.
Hindsight's easier to say.
Right, but when you're in the middle of it, you're like, oh my God, this is horrible. Yeah. And you think it's going to be the end of the world. So keeping that in mind is a big thing. Big thing. What else did you learn in all this and I know you're still learning.
Yes,
you're still growing.
Still learning. You never stop learning.
What surprised you the most out of embracing this? Because you really, you're just, ever since I met you, you're just always upbeat and happy, and you can't say that about a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people are just, they put it on. I think you exude just fun and happiness.
It's a lightness. I feel it. You feel the change, and you got to have that positive aspect of it. Life, we are all so blessed. I mean, if you think about it, if you just take that minute of gratitude and see what you have, we all have something to be blessed and thankful for. Yeah. And you just kind of take that, be your authentic self. Living your authentic self is my new thing. Definitely. Don't live with regret and not your authentic self. Those are my biggest lessons.
Well, and it's funny because I talk about authenticity a lot and everything. And it's interesting because what stood out to me when you said living my authentic self is my new thing, what stood out to me was the word new. because
Yeah.
I think for so many people, it's either a new thing or a foreign thing because we kind of hid it for so long. And now I love the fact people are finally starting to go, okay, this is cool. This is who I am. Take it or leave it, because I wish, don't you wish you could, I would never want to redo my life because I think it made me the person I am.
Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes you're like, man, I'm going to shout it loud for the 20-year-olds, being authentic shouldn't be new. It should just be who you are. But you can start that any day.
I think authenticity and self-worth, do they go hand in hand? Like, you could be your authentic self, but knowing that, knowing your worth. Like, I think you lose your authenticity because you're trying to mold to another person, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
But know your self-worth so you can be allowed to be your authentic self.
I think that's spot on. I think the two go hand in hand for sure. Because if anytime we're trying to appease somebody else, and I don't mean caring for or nurturing or anything. I mean appease. Like we're doing away with ourselves to kind of make somebody else happy or to do something. It's inauthentic and it feels icky.
Yeah.
So I think once you do shed that, whether it's personal or professional, once you shed some of that, a lightness does come about you, and you are having more fun, and it's a work in progress though. It's
a work in progress. They say growth never ends. The changing and growth never ends. It's a lifelong lesson.
Yep. I had a friend that used to say, my friend Amy, she's been on the show before. Her phrase was always green and growing or ripe and rotting, and I'm like, it's true. So that's what she said. She goes, you never stop growing. You shouldn't, because if you're just sitting on the vine,
you don't want to be right.
Right. But all right. So with all this, as you're continually growing, what do you think the biggest? I hate to say challenge, but I want to say that because what's been the hardest part about your growth? Because I think there's scary parts to it too.
Oh, the scary, like once like I said, I was a control planner, not knowing what the future holds.
Right.
That is a scary.
For control freaks, which I am 1,000,000% one.
Or
that's so hard.
You plan your life. You're like, okay, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to start a job. I'm going to retire like this or with this person, and then life throws you something and like pulls a rug under your leg, and you just have to realize. I think that's what my humbling experience was. We have no control. You just have to go with the flow and just have faith and listen to your gut. Yeah. Definitely listen to your gut. And I know, even though it scares me, I know my gut's like everything's going to work out. But, so you have to tame the mind.
It's funny. My coach, Lisa, who we've had on the show a number of times, she always calls them the Howies. Because I'm a strategy person. I think that's what I do. And so my job is to think of how does this get done. Yes. But when it comes to that's what people pay me to do. How do we get you here? Yeah. But when it comes to myself, Lisa's like, that is the last thing you need to be doing. She's like, I need you to she calls them the Howie. Get rid. She's got all her terms. Get rid of the Howies. Like, I've got to not pay attention to the how and just say, I know I'm on the path. Yes. And I'm going in the right direction. I'm doing what I need to do, and I need to take the next step. Yes. Just take the next step.
Just take it day by day. I realize that's all you can do. And then you just hopefully, hoping something comes forward to give you that sign. Okay, this is the direction to go.
And I'll do that. I'll do that when I'm praying. I'm like, dear Lord, just please give me a sign, some kind of sign, that I'm on the right path. And you usually get those signs. You really do. If you pay attention, you get whatever your belief system is. You get the signs you need. But I think
you meet the right person at the right time. That takes you to the next level.
Right. But a lot of times we're like, we're too busy fighting it. Yes. And trying to be the way we think it should be or anything.
And we miss out on today's moment. The more we think of the future, we're missing out on today's moment. I think that's what happened when I had a 10-year gap, when I missed my initial chance to go to law school. And it was 10 years before I had that chance back. I remember for 10 years I was just miserable because I was like, I thought I lost it.
You thought you lost
but instead of living in the moment, I missed those precious moments with my kids worrying about would I ever be able to go back to law school. And then I realized when I finally went back, I was like, oh, I could have enjoyed those times. Right. This moment of me going to law school would have happened, but I missed that time with my kids because I was stressed about that.
I think, and it's, you can't regret what happened in the past. And that's been a hard thing for me. The mom guilt creeps in a lot with a lot of us because, I was very career focused. I was the career person in our home, so I missed a ton with the kids. I feel like I'm paying for it now, but I can't go back and fix it. Yeah. Like, that's what I keep telling them. I'm like, I can't fix the past. I can't. I can hate that it happened. I can do, but we aren't present enough. And I think that's what I love about your story and redefining this next chapter is you strike me as somebody who's truly embraced, whether it's your immigration practice in your firm or whether it's your boys or your solo adventures. I feel like you've embraced just being.
Just live in the moment. The now. I'm learning even better more to just live in the now. kids are going off, like one about to go to college. I'm like, so finite this moment. Yes, I want to take maybe my career to the next level in certain, but I was like, you know what? And it's always in the back of your head that, there's more to do for work-wise. But I'm like, no, I want to take that weekend off or this evening off and spend it with my kids, because in a year's time they're gone and then I'll have more time. So there's a timing for everything. So I'm just enjoying the now that I have.
And I think that living in the moment is big. But I do love, live in the moment is one. And the other thing I love is, again, pushing yourself out of the comfort zone. So tell the listeners, because I got to follow this journey. You mentioned earlier taking some solo trips and trying to do a big solo trip every year. And we were kind of joking before we went on air that I'm not a eat by myself, I'm a party of one for many years, but I'm never the one that kind of goes out to a restaurant by myself or takes a trip by myself. One, because I'm afraid people are going to come talk to me and I don't want to talk to them. I'm not that social, but you embraced, like you threw in and just kind of tried all the things. So for people listening that are like me, where it's like, oh my gosh, that scares me to even think about, like what would you tell them? Like, what was so cool about it? How convince us to do that?
I think so. When I take these journeys, one thing I do love about, so I'll go on a trip. For example, I'll go on a hiking trip, and I'll join maybe a group just to to lead, because that's something I could do by myself, like go to the mountains by myself in Switzerland. So I'll join a group, but I end up being like the only solo person while everyone's like with a couple or a friend. But it allows me to, even though I'm alone by myself, it's amazing because I'm able to mingle and meet everyone in that group, make a connection, because I don't want to say distraction of a partner of a
She doesn't have the baggage. I'll say it.
I don't have that obligation. And so I end up being able to meet and talk with everybody, where everyone else kind of sticks to their buddy that they came with. And so, and I always feel like I'm always kind of engulfed and taken care of. I always feel like I'm watched over. So it's like everyone's so nice. If they see you, they're like, and it's funny, I get comments like, you're so brave. I'm like, really? It's like,
because I'm scared to death. I like that part of it, because
I don't feel brave sometimes.
Well, I know, but if you feel like people, I like the idea of kind of going in a group but by yourself, because what intrigued me about that is, as moms, you're a mom, is family vacations. A lot of my clients, and even some of my guys too, but a lot of my women coaching clients will be like, oh, I just got off vacation, I need a vacation. Because they, it's all the planning, it's all the shepherding, getting everybody there. They've got to book and do all, whether it's the mom or the dad doing it, it's a lot of work to be responsible for all those extra humans.
You don't have that mental moment to shut down.
Right. You're always on alert. We were talking about that earlier. We were talking about that with Life 360. You're always on alert when there are other people dependent on you, because it's not just you. I feel like we can't always fully be if we're trying to do that.
Like, so I could do whatever excursion I want to do. I could eat wherever restaurant I want to eat, sleep.
There doesn't have to be a vote on what dinner.
And then that part's intriguing. I have my time to mingle when I'm on the activities, So I get a little best of both.
So what have you done, like when you're on, though? That is intriguing. I do like that. I'm almost convinced here. Isaac, I
recommend everyone do one solo travel in their life. Like, not to go visit somebody, not a conference, not with a friend or a child.
I know. Whitney and I tried to, we did a solo trip. It was a conference, and we were trying to do that. And I think that'd be, like, I'm intrigued by it for sure, because I think I love adventure. I love travel. I kind of like, but most of the time I've done it has either been, it's been work related. I do solo trips, but it's usually planning retreats where I do it each year to plan the business. But I think like an abroad type of trip where you're really trying something new.
And like, I'm at a point in life, I'm not into like gifts or material things. I'm all about experiences, life experiences, things they can look back on and just remember those memories than like a new bag. Or like, for example, my last trip was a Finland trip. It was my birthday gift to myself. And it was, memories I'd rather have. Some people may spend that money on something else, more material. That's good for them. But for me, I'm at a point that I just want to experience so much experience. Life is short.
I agree. And I used to be, I've never been a gifts person, like that whole love language thing. Gifts is my lowest. I'm not a gifts person. I will buy myself gifts, but I don't really care about, getting from other people. But the experiences is what I'm starting to, I don't want to say embrace, because I've always embraced them, but I didn't intentionally carve out time to create the experiences. Yeah. I feel like I was going through the motions and everything, and it doesn't have to be Finland or the Northern Lights or anything, which I still got on my bucket list. But I think sometimes it's just the moment. It's the moment itself. So, if you guys are listening and you're going, oh my God, I can't afford to go to Finland or to Italy or whatever, it could be a moment locally. It could be just a moment where you're doing something that's just a little
taking
different.
baby steps to make a 1 day trip, a day trip, or a weekend. Or there's somewhere in the States. I think my first trip was this just kind of a healing thing, was a meditation resort in Arizona before I went international. And the reason I'm international was just because I love being in nature. I think that's one thing I really developed is the love for nature. It's just where I find my zen. Yeah. And so I'm trying to do that, the physical stuff as much as I can at this age.
Yeah.
Then I'll do the resort.
These hips aren't going to be walking around for too much longer. Yeah. I'm not going to be doing the steps and the Parthenon or something like that. I don't know. I've done some. I haven't traveled internationally as much. I mean, you're an immigration attorney. You're supposed to know all the world. The world is your oyster. I haven't done as much international.
One thing I like about the internationally, when you start meeting people from all countries, like when you're in a group or even tour guides or whatever, and when you start talking to them, especially if I'm by myself, I start talking to the tour guides and stuff, and you realize we are just the same. Like humanity is one. The same feelings of love, loss, sadness, depression, happiness. Everyone has the same feeling. It's hilarious because I was going on this one tour, a 4-hour walking tour of Helsinki with this one lady. And she was out of a relationship, a serious relationship, not married, but serious relationship 2 years ago. And we just bonded on that. And it was hilarious because we were just talking about how she's saying in Helsinki is one of the highest rates of divorce over there. I'm like, here, really? And, you think of Finland. It's like, everything's so relatable. Her desires, similar to my desires, what we're looking for in life. It just makes the world so much smaller when you start meeting new people.
I think that's a great point because I was reading, it was something on Twitter that somebody I follow had posted, and same thing, it was she's a nature person. And she's like, I really feel if you get out in nature and you get out in the world, you realize that we have far much more in common than we have differences. And we have far more the same thoughts and values of love and honoring people and loving your family and all that. And I think you're right. I feel like those things, and maybe that's part of the happiness. That's part of the joy you're exuding is when you can get in nature, when you can focus on that as opposed to all the things that social media and the world is trying to tell us is wrong, then I think you can really start to appreciate like, hey, this is what I want my life to be. This is what I want, where I want to focus. Because you seem to have put your focus in the good stuff. Yeah. As opposed to
you do. You have to work on that. You have to work on that. Do what people are like, find your happiness, what makes you happy. And sadly, it is an expensive hobby, but I do love to travel.
Right, it's an expensive hobby. We're going to have to find some, for a lot of our viewers, we're going to need to find some local things to do.
Yeah,
but I think you can do that. There's so plenty. There's we're in Georgia here, and there's I'll see articles like gorgeous waterfalls and beach that are within driving distance. And there's so much cool stuff, and even nature. My dad has 20-something acres, and every time I go down there, it's to his house. Like I drive down the driveway, and I'm like, oh. It's just like as soon as I pull in the driveway and pass this little fence, I'm like, you just kind of feel like.
It's just removing yourself from your environment. And I think that's my theory because now, as a mom of 2 teenage boys, because you know how they are with the teenage stage, it's tough.
Teenage stage is not a fun one.
High schoolers, homework, that with the stress of work. I have to and now I have 2 aging parents. I had to literally remove myself from Georgia to kind of get that moment of recoup, take care of myself so I could take care of them.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what it is. It could be anywhere. I just had to even a weekend getaway does wonders. I just went on a weekend getaway with some girlfriends to the beach just down in Florida. And that just feels like a huge restart. I just have to remove myself to be able to fill my cup.
But I think filling your cup is one. Gratitude, you mentioned that earlier, is a big thing. And understanding that we get to choose. We get to choose what you're filling your cup with. Yes, right? Because you could just as easily, and a lot of y'all, not y'all listening to this show, but your friends are filling the cup with bad stuff. I think a lot of times we get to choose.
I think because that's scared of being having that solitude moment.
I think that's critical. Can I talk? Critical because that's exactly where my brain went when you said you took that solitude time first. Yeah. Because I have people in my world. I'm not going to name names, but I'll probably call you afterwards and tell you. I have some people in my world that they can't sit in solitude. Well, I won't say they can't. They refuse to. So they do move out of one thing and jump right into the next thing, whether it be a relationship, a job, a marriage. We got some repeat offenders with a lot of those that I know. And I think you're spot on. I think it's that when that massive change in life happens, death, divorce, job change, job loss, any of that, if you don't sit in solitude, the tendency is just to jump right back into the familiar.
Yeah.
And sitting in solitude, I think, allows
filler,
you.
not
yeah,
familiar,
a filler.
a
That's
filler.
true, right? Fillers aren't good. Filler dates are not good. Filler jobs are not good. It's just you've got to sit there for a minute.
It's scary because you're going to be in your head. You're going to feel the process, and then you can go to therapy. You just have to, like, I don't want to take my I want to process what happened.
Correct.
I don't want to take it to the next relationship.
Correct.
And that's where you find your gratitude, that moment of gratitude,
Yeah.
your self-worth, your what makes you happy.
But the processing and the solitude is important because, you know, I frequently say, I don't want people to live in the suck, but you got to understand it. You've got to process it. You got to know what happened and then be able to say, okay, this is what happened. Here's where I am. Here's what I learned from it.
Yeah.
And here's where I'm going next. And I feel like Nooshin, you've really done that. You've said, okay, I'm on my path. I love it. I may try some of these strips. What you think?
Yes.
What do you think, Whitney? You can't come with me. I'm going by myself.
Yes. You're going by yourself.
But I think it's so true because the word that keeps coming to mind for me, because like I said, I've done many ones, but I haven't done like this big. They're gonna be writing in saying, where are you going? I will do within the next year a big solo trip.
Oh, I would love to watch that.
I would love to watch this too, because this could be a colossal train wreck. It'll be entertaining, I can assure you. This is where I'm not as friendly as people think I am side is going to come out when I'm traveling abroad by myself. But you've inspired me to do it because I agree with you, life is short. And I agree with you that we get to choose how we spend it.
Yeah.
And I love being by myself. Like, I regenerate by myself. That's why I kind of joke that I'm not as extroverted as people think, because my alone time and my downtime, that's how I recharge.
And I was the opposite.
I'm cool doing it on a beach somewhere.
Like, I live having I bounce off someone's energy, so I love having that social thing. So me being alone on the trip, I'm just like, but then it's like I've learned I have to be comfortable with that, because I think in life there is going to be a point, whether you're married now, and I don't sound more of it, married now or even not, or there's going to be a point where you're going to be alone in life.
Yeah.
Whether it's before you get married or it could be after marriage, through a death or a divorce.
Yeah.
There's going to be a time, and so you have to learn that everyone's going to go through that phase at one point or another. And I'd rather go through that phase now in this 40s than I've had, sadly, like a family friend, like an aunt. And so she lost everyone in her family like in her 80s. And there she is in her 80s by herself, never been alone. And that to me is like,
that's hard to learn.
That's
then.
hard to learn at that stage. So I'd rather learn it now, get through this, and then like be prepared.
I think I'm probably the opposite. Like, I'm cool alone. I'm really good by myself. I need y'all fools. I need y'all fools to leave me alone. No, but I'm good by myself. But I think the opportunity for me, what intrigues me is I'm good by myself in my little bubble. So like, it's different when you're hopping on. I mean, I'll jump a plane, but like doing some of the event, like she was like diving in icy ponds and stuff like this and doing saunas in the snow. Like, whether it's that or anything, it's just what intrigues me about it is stepping out of my comfort zone alone. Like, I'll sit in the alone. I'll reflect. I can go introspect. I can do that all day long. But going out and doing something a little different, a little out there, a little by myself without somebody to look over my shoulder and them go, you got this, you know.
It's kind of like trust the process. The part where I mentioned when I was in Finland, part of the tradition is you go in a sauna, you heat yourself up, and then you do an ice plunge in a frozen lake. And I do not like the cold. I cannot tolerate it. And me coming from a Middle Eastern background, my parents are like, if you have a little bit of sweat and wind hits you, you're going to die of ammonia. So I was like, I could not tell my parents I did this. So I was like, you know what? I didn't understand this process. I'm like, oh my God, I'll catch ammonia if I come out of this icy water and go back into it, like walk across in my bathing suit back into a sauna. Yep. But I was like, I told myself, you have to trust the process. Years and years of people have been doing this. Trust this process. And I let it go, and it was the most exhilarating thing I never thought I would have done. I think the trust the process and being open to the learn. Because I was raised in the South, so it's like same thing. You walk outside and it's below 70. Your mom's like, you're gonna catch a cold. Yeah, it's true though. But embracing new things, embracing adventure. Yeah, letting go and just kind of like, okay, trust you.
That's the key right there. Letting go and trusting. Trusting has been a big word. It's funny that you said that. That's come up a lot for me recently in my work, my therapy and my work. it comes up because it is trust. Like I'm very trusting of a very small group.
Yes.
And I trust myself and I trust my little bubble. And outside of that, it's really hard for me. So I think for each of us, whatever this solo adventure is or whatever it is, we're probably each going to have different lessons. Like for you, it's putting yourself out there. For me, it's probably learning to trust the unfamiliar.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
And you can take it step by step. Like even they say, it's funny, I was reading a book by Jay Shetty and
Love
saying
him.
Yes, about the solitude part about, okay, here's some things you could do to start off on your own. I'm like, check. Yeah. I was like, okay, what more? I still feel it. It's like, it's like, give me the next step. But one was like, take baby steps. It doesn't have to be a big travel. Go to the movies by yourself. Like I've done that by myself. It's funny though, going out to dinner, I feel more awkward. I can eat lunch by myself at any restaurant, but going to dinner by myself, like sitting at a table, for some reason in Atlanta, it feels awkward for me, but I could do it in any other state. I feel like because I don't know anybody and no one knows me, so I don't feel like I would be judged.
It's not even the judging for me. I couldn't care less what people think. Like of me sitting there, and I mentioned this show, they come up and talk to me. And sometimes there are people I don't want to talk to. And I have like the unapproachable face, so I don't know why they're coming up to me. I put on my RBF. I sit at the bar. I put in my laptop to look like I'm working, and fools still come up and start talking to me.
They sense your energy. That's a welcoming energy. That's saying tap.
I have got to quit welcoming people because I don't know. It's funny, but you're right. It's just letting go of control and trusting the process. Maybe I should trust that the people aren't going to be boring or have ulterior motives.
You learn from people. Yeah.
I think it's fun. I love it. So, all right. So pulling this all together and thinking about, for those listeners who are tuning in and saying, I like this. I love because I know they're picking up on your energy, which is always palpable, but I love it. Like if somebody's listening and going, all right, one step. What's one, where do they start? Like when you first went through big changes, what was step one?
Step one, I would say, of which aspect of putting yourself out there?
Yeah, if somebody's listening going, I want to be different. I want to put myself out there. I want to create life on my terms.
Yeah. So you're going to try to think what you want to do and what scares you, and don't wait around for anybody to help you make that next step, because they're not going to come around. You got to continue living. You don't want to sit. I think one of the phrase was, if you're 80 years old sitting on a rocking chair, would you have had any regret of what you didn't do? And that hits me so much. I always think about that. I'm like, I'm not going to wait. I'll regret wasting this time, this perfect age of being able to, this new chapter, to be waiting around for someone to do anything, to go to see a movie I want to see, or to go on a trip. And so just take it by a little bit. Go for a walk by yourself. Maybe go on a hiking by yourself. Then go to the movies by yourself. Try dinner, or take your laptop, go work somewhere. Just like little baby steps.
Take the steps.
Yeah, take the steps of doing things by yourself and try to feel comfortable in it. And no one's, like I say, it was wrong of me to say judging. It was my own insecurities that I say. It's not a judging thing, but everyone has their own insecurities. But you realize no one's paying attention, and at those moments when you are vulnerable, you meet the most amazing people.
Oh, I'm sure.
You really meet the amazing people.
Yeah.
I feel like the universe senses that, and they help bring someone by.
I've met some cool people. Like when I have, and I think it's when I'm not even planning it. Like I've met several cool people on a airplane, and that I've stayed in touch with over the years. And one of them I talked with recently, and we met flying back from New York, and we still stay in touch on social. And it's funny, we were looking back recently. It was like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
We're not good buddies, but we still stay in touch.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, if you're open to those experiences, it's kind of fun.
Yeah. I just realized how you have more in common, and just making connections and comparing, seeing like everyone's feeling the same thing.
I love it.
Everyone feels insecurities. Everyone feels the scaredness of going forward. But if we can kind of, make it a norm, I think it'll be.
I think we should make it a norm. I think we voted here. We're making it a norm. So what's next for you? What's the next big step in Nooshin's journey?
Well, we're scoping it out. We're trying to find what is it that glows up. So hopefully following in your footsteps.
Glows up. I like it.
A thing that pushes me outside my comfort zone is my own podcast.
Oh no, I'm so excited. You should. You've got such good stories.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope it could be somewhat influential. It's funny because you get a lot of feedback from, like, when I posted my trips on my Instagram, it's more kind of for me, kind of storytelling and so forth. And but I get a lot of feedback from people like, oh, so inspirational. I hope I could do this. And even going back to school later in life, people say that, oh, I thought it's too late. And I'm like, no, please, I'm the biggest promoter of please go do you. You know, it's your life. You have one life. And it's never too late. So I'm hoping to bring that storyline along with my work regarding immigration and so forth, to kind of make it seem like one. Like, I think there's such a discrepancy between what people view my work being immigration, like immigrants and, you know, personal stories, personal life, that we're really just one, and we're all going through it. We're all going through it, no matter where you come from, what background. And that's what I love about the traveling. It's like we are all one, and just try and make that connection. So following
everybody has
you
a story.
Have been a great mentor, advisor. So I'm hoping to take that next leap of faith. And
that
is so outside my comfort zone. So we will see.
We will be right here listening, because I think that's a big thing, and it goes to your story. Like, when people have good stories and good energy, I think the energy is what draws people in. The story is what makes people say. But then I feel like when you have that gift, which you do,
thank you.
it is your, I don't want to say duty, it's a strong word, but I'm going to say it. It's your duty to give that back, because there's so many people that need to hear it. Like, it's funny, people ask me, they're like, how'd you launch this program, or how'd you do this, or how'd you start doing that? I'm like, because enough people ask me about it.
Yeah.
I mean, every book I've written,
oh my gosh,
when I launch the podcast, when any new coaching program or course or anything I do, it's because enough people asked about it.
And I think that's the same storyline me. So post-divorce, you know, when you're going through the healing, you're processing, you're finding the root of the cause of whatever you're feeling. And I'll just have this introspect. And I'll like, you know, I had two amazing friends that really was there, my listening sounding board. I feel so bad for I owe my life. But they got me through that post-part. Yeah. And they always, and I would have people say, you need to write a book. Yeah. Because they're like, even though they're not going through divorce or have been through divorce, they're like, I'm inspiring them, or I'm giving them good advice regarding their own kids, their own, like, they're seeing life in a different way. And they kept telling me, you need to write a book, you need to write a book. I was like, I don't want to write a book, but what can I do? But then the podcast idea came. I'm not a public speaker, naturally a public speaker, so, you know, putting myself out there.
Fooling me.
But yeah, so that's like, so I've had enough people say, please share your story. So I'm hoping to see how that, I hope it helps anybody. If it can help one person, I'll be.
We've got an announcement. We got a new podcast coming. I love it. I think it's good. And I think what I love about it the most is it's a genuine joy and it's a genuine desire to show other people, like, this is how it could be. Because I'm like you. Life should be fun. Life should be lived.
Yes.
Life should be bringing you forward, not pulling you back. And if you've got the wrong things, the wrong people, the wrong circumstances, you can change that. And I think that's what your story will do. I know for me, it's like, I'm excited about my little trip. I'm a little scared. I'm not going to lie.
Where would you want to go?
Italy.
Ah, yes.
Because it was, but that one wasn't planned to be solo. Like, I could do it solo. Maybe I'll take two, because I couldn't do it a few years ago during the pandemic. It was going to be my big birthday trip to myself.
Aww.
So I was doing a solo one 2 years ago when the pandemic hit, and it obviously did not happen. So yeah, it was originally planned as a solo. It was planned as a girlfriend trip, and then I had one of my very close girlfriends push back and said, I think you need to do it by yourself.
Oh, good for
because I love to write and I love to do that. And she goes, I think you go, you write, you experience, you live. It's kind of eat, pray, love.
Yes,
I was going to double up on the eating part.
Yes.
Mine was going to be called eat, wine, pray. We're going to leave out the love part and just do a lot of eating.
Hey, you find love, that's a bonus. You love yourself.
Exactly. Love myself and love some good wine. So, all right. Well, Nooshin, thank you for being with us.
Me.
We are very much looking forward to what is next for you. And we will keep you guys posted. But I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic and what you are doing to create this next chapter of your life. And like Nooshin said, it can be whatever you want it to be. So take some time, go introspective, think about it, and figure out what it is that would move you forward and bring this tiny little world of ours together, doing some fun and really good things. So we will see you guys again next week for another episode of Renew.